His mother looked me dead in the eye and said, "This event is for family only." I was his wife. Been his wife for 3 years, but that didn't matter to them because in their world I would never be family. 4 days later, my husband came home and asked me not to come to his father's retirement gala, said I wouldn't fit in, said it would be easier if I just stayed home. I smiled. I said, okay. What he didn't know was that I owned the entire estate they booked for that party. Every single inch. If you've ever been told you're not good enough, stay with me. Because what happened next will remind you why you should never let anyone make you feel small. Hit subscribe right now because this is about to get real. Let me tell you where I came from so you understand why what they did cut so deep. I grew up watching my mother scrub floors in office buildings at night while studying for her nursing boards during the day. My father worked back-to-back shifts at the plant, came home with hands so rough they'd catch on fabric, but he never complained. Not once. We didn't have much, but what we had was earned. My parents taught me that your value doesn't come from a last name. It comes from your work ethic and your character. By 28, I'd built a commercial real estate empire most people only dream about. Office buildings, shopping centers, luxury apartment complexes across 4 states. I didn't inherit a dime, I didn't marry into it. I worked 80-hour weeks, learned every aspect of the business, made smart moves when everyone else was playing it safe, and built something real. My wealth was quiet because I didn't need to announce it. The properties spoke for themselves. That's who I was when I met Marcus at a charity networking event. He caught my attention immediately. Tall, confident but not cocky. When he smiled, it actually reached his eyes, which is rare at those kinds of events where everyone's got an agenda. We talked for 3 hours straight that first night. He asked about my childhood, my dreams, what scared me, what made me feel alive. Not once did he mention his family's tech empire or his father's venture capital firm worth hundreds of millions. I respected that. Thought it meant he was different. Our relationship moved fast. Weekend getaways where we'd disconnect from the world. Handwritten letters, actual letters, left on my windshield. Phone calls that lasted until 3 a.m. where we'd debate everything from conspiracy theories to whether pineapple belongs on pizza. He seemed genuinely impressed by my work. He'd ask detailed questions about my investment strategies and expansion plans. It felt real. 7 months in, he said he wanted me to meet his family. That's when the knot formed in my stomach. I'd negotiated deals worth millions without my hands shaking, but the thought of meeting his parents had me anxious for days. The first dinner at their estate told me everything I needed to know, but I ignored the signs because I wanted to believe love was enough. His mother opened the door with a smile that looked painful, like her face was fighting against it. Her eyes traveled up and down my body like she was inspecting merchandise and finding it defective. His father barely looked up from his phone, didn't even shake my hand. His younger brother asked what I did for work with this smirk that said he already assumed the answer wouldn't impress him. When I said commercial real estate investment and development, he actually laughed. Oh, like property management? That's cool, I guess. I corrected him calmly. No, like I own them. I buy, develop, and build portfolios. The silence that followed was deafening. His mother cleared her throat and changed the subject immediately. She spent the entire dinner talking about their family legacy, their history, their standards. She kept using this phrase, people like us, and every single time, her eyes would land on me like I was the contamination. I sat there smiling, nodding, taking mental notes of every slight, every assumption, every microaggression wrapped in politeness. Marcus squeezed my hand under the table, and I thought he was supporting me. I realize now he was just nervous. When Marcus proposed 9 months later, I said yes because I loved him. Or maybe I loved who I thought he could be. The proposal was beautiful. Private rooftop, string quartet. The city lights below us like scattered diamonds. But when he called his mother to tell her, I watched his face change as he listened to whatever she said. He hung up and told me she was thrilled. His eyes told me that was a lie. Planning the wedding was a nightmare disguised as celebration. His mother had opinions on everything, and by opinions I mean demands. The venue wasn't right. Too urban. Translation, too many of your people will feel comfortable there. My dress needed to be more classic. Translation, nothing that reflects your culture. The guest list should be intimate. Translation, we don't want your family embarrassing us. She never said anything directly cruel because people like her are too calculated for that. It was all suggestions and concerns that felt like slaps. Marcus would defend me sometimes, but only when we were alone. Never in front of them. Never where it would cost him something. He'd say his mother meant well, that she was just traditional, that maybe I was being too sensitive. Too sensitive. That phrase became a weapon. Every time I tried to set a boundary, I was too sensitive. Every time I called out disrespect, I was too sensitive. That's how they make you doubt yourself. Keep telling someone they're overreacting until they stop reacting at all. I started second-guessing everything. My words, my clothes, my presence. That's what constant criticism does. It makes you shrink. We got married in a ceremony half the size I'd imagined. His family called it elegant. I called it controlled. His mother wore champagne to my wedding. If you know, you know. That's a violation. She complimented my dress by saying, "You look much lovelier than I anticipated." My father heard it. His jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth would crack. But he said nothing because my family had more class in our smallest finger than they had in their entire bloodline. Marriage didn't fix anything. It made it worse because now they had unlimited access to me. Sunday dinners became a weekly reminder that I didn't belong. They'd discuss business and market trends like I wasn't sitting right there, despite my portfolio being worth more than most of theirs combined. When I'd contribute, when I'd offer insights based on actual experience, his father would smile this patronizing smile and say something like, "That's an interesting perspective," then immediately move on. His brother patted my hand once and said, "It's adorable that you follow business news. I was managing assets worth $40 million. But sure, adorable. The worst part was watching Marcus disappear around them. When we were alone, he was the man I fell in love with. The second we entered their orbit, he'd transform into this smaller version of himself, someone who valued their approval more than my dignity. I'd try to talk about it later. He'd get defensive. "They're not that bad. You're overreacting. Why do you always have to make things difficult?" I wasn't making things difficult. I was asking to be respected. There's a difference. So I focused on what I could control. My business. While they whispered about me being a gold digger, I was acquiring properties that would have made his father jealous if he'd bothered to notice. I bought a struggling shopping center and turned it profitable within 8 months. I purchased a historic estate that everyone said was a money pit and converted it into the most exclusive event venue in the state. Each deal was a reminder that I didn't need their validation. I kept my business completely separate from Marcus and his family. They never asked about it, so I never told them. Let them think whatever they wanted. Then his father announced his retirement and the planning started. 6 months of preparation because apparently when you're that wealthy, you need half a year to plan a party. His brother took charge of everything, which automatically meant I was shut out. I offered to help multiple times, got the same response every time. "We've got it covered." Translation, this isn't for you. You're not really family. 3 days before the gala, Marcus came home with this look on his face. I knew immediately. Bad news coming. We sat down. He took both my hands, which is what people do when they're about to hurt you, and they know it. He said his father's colleagues were very traditional, that the guest list was filled with old money and industry legends. that there might be tension, that maybe it would be better, easier, less complicated if I sat this one out. "Just this once," he said. "It's not about you. It's just easier this way." Easier for who? Not for me. Easier for him. Easier for them. My dignity didn't factor into easier. I asked him if he understood what he was asking me. He said he did, but everything about him said he didn't. He didn't understand that he was calling me an embarrassment, that he was choosing his family's comfort over his wife's respect, that he was telling me I wasn't worth defending. He said it was just one night, that it didn't mean anything, that he'd make it up to me. I could have screamed, could have cried, could have thrown his ring at him and walked out right then. But I've learned something about power. The quietest response is often the most devastating. So I nodded slowly. I said, "Okay, I understand. I'll find something else to do that night." The relief on his face made me sick. He actually thought I was being understanding. He had no idea what was coming. Here's what Marcus didn't know. What none of them knew. 2 weeks earlier, my property manager called about a major event booking at one of my estates. I owned 3 historic properties that I converted into luxury venues. One of them had just been booked for a high-profile retirement celebration. Big deposit, exclusive guest list. My manager was confirming final details. She mentioned the client's name, Marcus's brother. They were throwing his father's retirement gala at my estate. In my ballroom, using my staff, drinking wine from my cellar. And not one of them had any idea it belonged to me. Marcus had been in every planning meeting. He'd seen photos of the venue. He'd approved the menu. Never once did he ask who owned it. Why would he? People like his family don't think about things like that. They book venues and assume the real power belongs to people who look like them. The irony was so perfect, it felt like the universe was handing me a gift. I spent the next 3 days in complete clarity. I wasn't angry. I was focused. I knew exactly what needed to happen. On the night of the gala, I dressed like I was going somewhere important. Because I was. I wore a deep emerald gown. Elegant, powerful. The kind of dress that doesn't ask for attention, it commands it. I took my time with my hair and makeup. Not for them. For me. Marcus asked where I was going. I told him I had a business meeting. He kissed me goodbye, clearly relieved I wasn't making this hard for him. He had no idea I arrived at my estate 90 minutes before their event. My staff greeted me with respect because they know who signs their checks. I told them I'd be observing tonight's event from my office, that I wanted to ensure everything was flawless. They didn't question it. My office has windows overlooking the entire ballroom. I could see everything. Watching them arrive felt surreal. His mother walked in like she owned the place, which would be funny if it wasn't so insulting. His father, his brother, Marcus in his tuxedo, looking relaxed in a way he never looked when I was around his family. That hurt more than I expected, seeing how comfortable he was without me there. The gala went on for about an hour. Speeches about his father's legacy, champagne toasts. His mother gave this whole speech thanking everyone for being part of their journey. She mentioned Marcus, called him the pride of their family. She didn't mention me, obviously. In her mind, I was home where I belonged. That's when my estate manager walked up to their table. I'd given him specific instructions. I watched from above as he introduced himself, asked if everything met their expectations. His mother gushed about how magnificent the venue was. Then she made her mistake. She asked if the owner was available, said she'd love to express her gratitude personally for such an exquisite property. My estate manager, bless him, kept a straight face. "Mrs. Castellano is upstairs in her office. I'm certain she'd be happy to receive your compliments. Shall I let her know you'd like to speak with her?" I saw the confusion hit their faces. Castellano. That was their last name. His mother was Mrs. Castellano. But so was I. The older Mrs. Castellano asked if there was another family member present. My manager simply said, "The property owner. Would you like me to ask if she's available?" I didn't wait. I walked out of my office, down the grand staircase, and into that ballroom like I owned it. Because I did. Every head turned. I wasn't dramatic, wasn't loud. I was just there, present, taking up space in a place they'd tried to erase me from. I walked straight to their table. Marcus's face went through about 7 emotions in 3 seconds. Confusion, recognition, shock, horror, panic, understanding, fear. His brother's mouth fell open. His father looked like someone had just told him gravity stopped working. His mother's face, that's the one I'll never forget. Humiliation, rage, and buried under all of it, the first hint of respect she'd ever shown me. I stopped at their table and smiled, warm, genuine. "Congratulations on your retirement," I said to his father. "I hope the venue is everything you wanted. When my team told me we had a Castellano event tonight, I wanted to make sure every detail was perfect." I let that hang in the air, watched it sink in. "Everything's complimentary tonight. Family discount." Then I looked directly at Marcus. "I told you I had business tonight. This is my business, all of it." The silence was absolute. Every single person in that ballroom was watching. All those distinguished guests, all that old money. Watching as the daughter-in-law they dismissed, the wife they told to stay home, the woman they decided wasn't good enough, revealed that she owned the ground they were standing on. The tables had turned so completely it was almost poetic. I didn't stay. Didn't need to. The point was made. I told them to enjoy their evening, that my staff would take excellent care of them, that I had other properties to check on. I walked out with my head high, leaving them to sit in what they'd just learned. Marcus came home after midnight. I was in bed reading. He stood in the doorway forever before speaking. When he finally did, it was chaos. Apologies, excuses. He didn't know. He should have asked. He never meant to hurt me. His family didn't realize. If he'd known, it would have been different. I let him talk himself out. When he was done, I put down my book. "You told me not to come because you were embarrassed of me," I said quietly. "Not because you didn't know I owned the venue. That doesn't change what you did. It just shows how little you know about who I actually am." He tried to argue. I stopped him. "You chose their comfort over my dignity. You asked me to make myself smaller so they could feel bigger. That's not love. That's cowardice." We separated 6 weeks later. Divorce finalized 3 months after that. His family never apologized. I didn't need them to. I didn't do what I did for an apology. I did it to remind myself who I am when everyone around me is trying to convince me I'm less than. I built something real, something that doesn't need validation from people who refused to see my value. Here's what I need you to understand. Your value isn't determined by who accepts you. Your worth isn't measured by who thinks you're good enough. Success isn't about proving yourself to people who've already decided you don't matter. It's about knowing yourself so completely that their opinions become background noise. I didn't embarrass his family. I didn't need revenge. I just needed to exist fully in my power and let the truth do the talking. The best response to being underestimated isn't anger, it's achievement. The best response to being excluded isn't bitterness. It's building something so undeniable they can't ignore it. I didn't crash that gala to hurt anyone. I showed up because that was my space, and I was done shrinking. So here's what you need to remember. Never make yourself smaller to make others comfortable. Never apologize for your success. Never let anyone convince you that you're too much or not enough. Your worth is determined by who you are and what you build, not by who accepts you into their circle. If this story hit you, smash that like button right now. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment telling me about a time you proved the doubters wrong. Subscribe for more real talk about resilience, power, and never backing down. Remember, the best revenge isn't confrontation, it's undeniable success. I'll see you in the next one.